Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, today, August 21st, 2023, we're going to do an update, Las Vegas real estate market. We're going to start, we're just going to put the first chart up here and jump right over to the real-time market profile. So, Oana, the market is absolutely not doing what it's supposed to do normally. What are the two things it does this year with regards to price and inventory normally?
Well, the inventory goes up and the price goes down.
Okay, that's not what is happening. We got a bunch of charts to show you here. We'll start with this median list price. Went up. It was 566 and change last week. It's 569. Now, some of that is because the lower end stuff is getting bought up quicker, right?
Right.
So the median price of whatever's out there just tends to be a little higher, okay? Price per square foot, 260. Remember, it was 260, went to 259 2 weeks in a row. We said, oh, this is it. It's going to start going down, but it went back up to 260. It's the highest it's been in a year, almost.
Right. But remember, this a lot of this has to do with the mix of homes, right? We're selling fewer homes in the lower end because they're just not coming on the market, and we're selling more homes on the higher end because they're, for whatever reason, they're turning. So
and they sell for more. Why do they sell for more per square foot?
Quality.
Okay, they're higher quality.
Yeah, they're just higher quality.
So it's a 2,000 square foot house versus a 4,000 square foot luxury house. The 4,000 square foot is going to be more than twice the price.
Right. I mean, even if it's not luxury, but it's still going to be more money because chances are that it has more amenities. Chances are that it has better quality, in the kitchen, the bathrooms. Maybe it has a nicer yard, a nicer pool, whatever that is. So it's going to sell for more per square foot.
Okay. The median days on the market hasn't increased. That normally increases about this time, but inventory, 2233, that is the lowest that has been all year. We've got a chart that's going to blow everybody away when you realize what inventory is supposed to be doing right now.
Right.
We'll get to that. And you can see at market action at the bottom. That's just that thing that just says how the market's doing, which 46 is strong seller's market.
Right.
That's what it says.
So it is a strong seller's market. I mean, let's face it. If your home is nice and it's priced anywhere near market value, it's going to get a lot of looks and it'll get offers. Sometimes it might even get multiple offers.
Here's the first chart, price per square foot. What's interesting about this is if you go back to September of August of 2019 and August of 2018, basically there's not a dot, but all the way to the left was 5 years ago today. And then 4 years ago today, it was about 175 a square foot, but it's been climbing since then. And we're basically back to where we were about a year ago. Of course, it was that peak. But remember, that peak was this false panic buy because interest rates were going up. And any inventory that was out there just got crazy offers on because people were trying to lock in sub 5% loans still.
Right.
So when people say, oh, the market crashed from that, it didn't really crash from that because we've basically gotten back there. That was just sort of a fake, false market.
Well, it was a forward-looking market.
Forward-looking market. Okay, median list price. Now, this thing has been up and down. Now, this is normally seasonal. This usually cycles up and down. What's interesting, you could almost draw a straight line between those dots from 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. They just, every year, they keep going up. Now, this is just based on the same day. There's seasonality because it gets hotter in the spring and worse in the fall. And you can see that on here. That dip was last fall, and then it went up in the spring. And normally it drops, but like last year, it was tanking at this time, median list price, but still, it actually went up week over week. So it looks like it's maybe peaking, and it might fall a little bit into the fall.
Well, I mean, from our perspective, we expect things to cool down in the fall because that's what they've always done. However, this market kind of behaves like a cat. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So I'm calling this the feline market.
Feline market.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a chart, mind-blowing inventory. Now, every year, look back at these dots. This time of year, normally inventory is built up like crazy. This is when people are putting their homes on the market and aren't selling. And if you look back at 2019, even 2020, 2021, 2022, last year, we were right almost at the peak of inventory. And then you go now and there is no inventory.
Right.
And it should have been increasing for the last 4 months, but it hasn't been. Now, Oana, what is this in a couple months? The buyers are going to come back, and we didn't get the buildup of inventory.
Okay, so the buyers never went away. So let's start with that. The buyers never went away. The buyers have been here, and the buyers have not had anything to purchase. And I say this very honestly. Buyers have been sitting there waiting for something reasonable to come along, and not just in price, but in what they're looking for, in the type of home, in the location, the amenities, all of that. They're just looking for that home. They're willing to buy it. They're willing to pay a fair price. They're willing to deal with the interest rates. They're willing to do all that, but they need the inventory, and that's what we have not had. We have not had inventory, and the buyers have been here. And your point is that we may have even more buyers going into the fall. We'll see about that, but I don't expect inventory to be sufficient to meet the demand of buyers.
I'm going to put this chart up. This is just a general chart for the whole U.S. This is the current mortgage rate of mortgage holders who have originated FHFA loans at the time they originated them. You can see here 26% have under 3%, 44.7 have between 3 and 4. So over half the people have under 4. And then you have another 20% between 4 and 5. And then only about 9% of people have loans over 5%. Mm-hmm. Now remember, these are only loans. This is not the whole housing stock. Then you have a third at least of all the homes that were purchased free and clear, not counting the 42% that are already free and clear, that were already owned free and clear. Because what happened was anyone who previously had a loan refied it when the interest rates tanked, and then everyone who bought in the last 3 years got smoke and deal, except for a few people recently, right? So how is that affecting the housing market?
So it isn't. I mean, that's really the short story. The short story is that most people have very affordable loans. Most people have payments that they can afford. And the people who have purchased recently, yes, they have higher interest rates. No, they don't have the amount of equity that people who have been in their homes for some time have. But that's normal. That's natural. I don't care what interest rates are at. So long as you've been in your home longer than the guy who just bought his house, chances are that you've got more equity, right? But the people who have purchased recently, they do have equity, because remember, most buyers are putting a substantial amount of money down. Very few buyers are buying, with 3% down, that sort of thing. So there is equity out there.
Okay, because that's the big thing. There's this misconception that nobody that bought in the last 18 months has any equity. Like they can't have equity, because the only way you can have equity is home prices go up.
Well, not true. I mean, people who, let's say that you bought a house for, $1 million and you put 20% down, well, that means that you've got $200,000 of equity. Even if you lost $50,000 of equity, you still have $150,000 of equity. So everybody does have equity.
My guess is that $1 million, most of those people are either putting a substantial, more than that, down or cash.
Right.
And you would know this because you see these every day.
Yeah. So most people in the luxury market are buying cash. Yes.
They're buying cash. Okay. Here's another.
Well, so let me say why they're buying cash.
Oh, why are they buying cash?
They're buying cash because interest rates are high. The cost of money is high. So they're choosing to say, hey, forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and buy cash. And when interest rates come down, then I might think about refinancing. So they're doing, either using, if you will, real cash, or they may be borrowing money on a margin account or something like that, where they're not paying interest on the money.
Portfolio account. They're borrowing money against their stock portfolio at a much cheaper rate.
Yeah.
Okay. On the All In podcast, David Sachs was giving an example of a building he owns, in the office building in San Francisco, and he had to refi like $7 million of it, right? So the terms for the refi were really horrendous. They were really bad. It was basically like a margin loan. So
it was worse than that, because what they wanted him to do is they wanted him to personally guarantee the loan. They wanted him to put like $2 or $3 million against it in the first place, and then on top of that, the rate was horrible. So he said, forget it. And
he just paid cash.
Right.
He just cleared the loan, and then he said as soon as rates drop, he'll pull out that money to do something else with it once borrowing becomes. So the super wealthy, like you have two groups of people. One is people like us. We're just normal people. we have to borrow money a lot of times to buy it. Like something really nice. You have to borrow. Like almost most people can't just go out and have a ton of cash. Okay.
Well, and most people, simply don't have that kind of access to capital because, we have capital invested for retirement or whatever, and it's not that easy for us to get to it.
But there are definitely people who are saying, I got $3 million in some managed account and I'm going to do a loan against that at a really low interest rate because they're managing, my money, and I'm going to use that to buy the house. And then, that's it. And then they are making a payment, not against the house, but against the other account. They're just paying however they're doing it. They're just making, investment payments. Their cash flow comes in, they just put it back in the invest. They pay that off that way.
Right.
Okay. Now, speaking of luxury, we're going to throw up this last chart here. This is really telltale. Okay, so you've seen this before if you watched our videos. This is the median list price for the quarters of the market. So that red line is the bottom quarter. These are the cheapo bottom houses. And then basically it's probably like under 350. Okay. Then you have the yellow line, which is probably 450. And then you have the green line, which is probably 500. And then you have the higher line. Oh, it's actually listed there. So it's pretty hard to tell because it goes from 250 to 550. And it looks like it's very narrow, but it's spread out pretty far. Then you have the blue, which is the top. Now, if you were to take out that top blue line and just look at the bottom three lines, this looks like a normal real estate market. You can see the seasonality, the little curve where it kind of goes up and down, spring and fall. It's the top end of the market because we're having more homes built in the high end and more transactions happen in the high end, is artificially sort of making that median list price higher, price per square foot higher. It's a little fake, right? Because we do have an inflow of a lot of money, but Vegas didn't just magically create like a bunch of new housing because we don't have the ability to do that.
No, but I mean, we are building a lot more in the higher end. We're building lots of higher end communities, and there's a reason for that. There's a market. Okay, we have the luxury market. Vegas is kind of new to the luxury market in these, with these numbers and these quantities. I mean, we've always had luxury homes, but not this sort of volume of luxury homes, right? And part of that is also the cost of building. So, the Mortgage Bankers Association did the survey, and the cost of building post-pandemic is like 38% higher than it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so that makes a huge difference. Look, if your cost of building is so much higher, then you may as well build a product where you've got a better margin. And that cost of building is made up of a lot of different things. A lot of it is regulatory cost, and of course, labor. Did you know that most of the trades that build homes, the people working in those trades they're 55 and older. 55 and older. These people are retiring. So as every year goes by, we're going to have less and less people working in these trades because these guys are retiring, and that's great. But we're going to have less and less trades. So because we have less and less people, less and less labor, then that takes the cost of labor up. Now, we're using technology to make up for some of that, right? We've all seen the pre-made trusses. We've all seen the pre-made everything. And there's a lot more of that that's being built in the factory, that's being built with robots and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you still need boots on the ground to put everything together. And the number of people working in those jobs is going down because they're getting older.
Yeah, we're actually investors in a startup that builds units in basically a factory. They build them in a single location inside, and then they just transport the unit and put it in place. So the National Association of Home Builders put out a thing that said for every 10 people that retire from the building industry, only 2 new people are coming in behind them. Because there's not a lot of people want to actually do the work. And like you said, the median age is 55. So you've got all these people over 55 who are like, I'm out of here. They're leaving. And so if you want labor, it costs more money. So the problem is 2 things. The cost of a new home is going to be more, and there's going to be less of them. So that means you're going to have to go back in the resale market, and the resale market's running in the same problem, where you have an aging housing stock where houses get destroyed or whatever, and then they're not being replaced fast enough, and you've got this resource is becoming more scarce. So,
Right.
okay, so here's my question for you, Oana. With inventory as low as it is, I'm going to put the inventory chart back for all of them to look at while we're talking about this. Where the hell do we get the homes to sell 6 months from now and next, March, April, when it's super hot and everyone wants to buy again? Because right now you can see what happened last year. We sold all those houses, but now we don't have any houses to sell. What's going to happen in the spring?
Right. So I'm not expecting that resale is going to all of a sudden thaw out and put lots of homes on the market. I mean, yes,
Okay.
people will sell their homes, absolutely, but not a sufficient amount to meet the demand of the buyers. And like we just talked about, as far as builders are concerned, yes, builders are trying to build lots of homes, but they are limited by all of these factors, and they also will not be able to put enough homes on the market to satisfy buyer demand. Builders kind of sort of depend on the resale market to meet that buyer demand that they can't meet. But in this instance, the resale market actually needs the new home builders to meet the demand that the resale market can't meet. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's different than what we're accustomed to seeing.
Last thing before we go. Obviously, if something were to happen and interest rates were to drop, this thing would get turned upside down and get crazy again. Your contention, though, is interest rates should be higher.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think it would turn upside down in that way. I think it would just be a feeding frenzy. Yes, you'd have more sellers put their homes on the market, but you'd have the buyers right there to pick them up. So you would not have more inventory that can be absorbed, so there would not be downward price pressure. And yes, I do think that interest rates need to be higher because that would put more buyers on the sidelines. And when you put more buyers on the sidelines, then that tempers the appreciation of the homes, because now you have less buyers chasing the same number of homes, and then you should not have as much or as fast price appreciation as we've had.
Yeah, and then remember the thing for you to keep in mind if you're new to the channel and new to this information, over 50% of all residential homes and condos in Las Vegas are owned free and clear of a mortgage. There is no mortgage on them. Mm-hmm. So the thing we had in 2006, 7, 8, where everything was crazy leveraged, we don't have, it's the opposite now. Nothing is leveraged. Everything's backed by cash, which is why the market is held up as well as it is considering the West Coast, kind of got hammered the worst when interest rates went up. But it looks like we've adjusted. Everybody's said, hey, we're through the worst of it. Moving forward, it's going to be more normal.
Right.
Okay.
And Vegas is doing well. I mean, Vegas has a lot going on. We've talked about this before. We have the Formula One, we have the Sphere, we have all kinds of building going on, all kinds of events going on. We have lots of people moving to Vegas. Vegas right now looks really rosy. We have, of course, we have our NHL champs here in Vegas. The
Golden Knights.
We have
and the Aces.
We have the Aces. We have the Raiders. We have the Super Bowl coming.
Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, we have. We're looking at an NBA team. We're looking at
the A's baseball team.
At the baseball team. We're looking at professional soccer team. So lots of things going on in Vegas. Lots of things to help Vegas grow and help Vegas be attractive to both tourists and locals. So all of that works in the favor of current homeowners, making being in Vegas desirable, and again, having more buyers chasing fewer homes on the market.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what's going on in Vegas. If you see something in Vegas that you want to talk about, please put it down in the comments. We'd love to know what you know.
If you want to sell in Vegas,
yes.
If you need to sell a house or condo, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Let us know you watch the channel.
Absolutely, and we'll be happy to help you. If you are in another market and you have something to share with us on the channel, please leave us comments. If you're in another market and you're interested in selling, please reach out to us as well. We have a network of great agents for you. Okay? So please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.